What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are learning how to kickflip. These are going to be the things that I would focus on first. If I had to start all the way back from zero again, if I had no kickflips at all, these would be the most important things to me if I had to relearn how to do them. And the first thing we're going to start with is the foot placement. Maybe you want to know how I place my feet. Maybe you just don't know how to place your feet at all, but we're going to start here with the front foot. And I know a lot of people like to have like a 45-degree angle, but lately I've been turning my foot a little more perpendicular with the board, kind of like this. It just helps me get a more straight flick and just bring it back straight onto the board. But you're gonna have to play with it. Some people are like this, some people are like this, some people are even a little more off to the edge, some people have their whole foot on the board, you know. And it's not really about where you place your foot, it's kind of just about how you pop and slide your foot off to one point of the board. And so just feel it out, feel what works best for you, and you'll figure that out. And then for the back foot, you know, some people like to have it at the edge, some people have it a little more closer to the bolts, and you'll just have to feel it out, what gives you the best snap, the best pop, and just feel the board more than thinking too technically about your foot placement. You know, this is just a general idea, and it's more about how it feels rather than just being nitpicking about where your feet are placed on the board. And so that's kind of the general idea. Don't overthink it, don't think too much about it, but that's where I would start. Just having your front foot somewhere like right here, your back foot somewhere right here, and just squatting down. Make sure you can squat down and you can comfortably just kind of do a little bit of these. Maybe even like a hippie jump would be beneficial. And so that's where I would start. Just try to start with that first. All right, after you got the foot placement down, the first thing that I would work on is I would try and hold on to a gate, a fence or something, maybe like your friend or a table, and I would try to learn how to pop and flick the board kind of like this, because if you try to do it without anything holding you up, you'll find yourself flicking the board away from you, maybe not even being able to flick the board at all, and it'll become really demotivating. It'll make you feel like you're never going to be able to learn the trick. And so I suggest holding on to something, and that way you can kind of take the gravity away from the trick. You can use the gate to kind of hold yourself up as you just learn how to pop and flick the board, and hopefully that will just help you, give you a better understanding of how the trick works rather than just trying to do it on flat straight up. And the first thing that I would focus on with this is figure out how to flick the board, how to get a proper flick. And my suggestion to you is to don't aim for like this corner right here. A lot of people like to just flick off this corner. I would actually aim for more of the nose, because it'll actually help you get the board up to you. It'll build better habits. If you just go and flick off to the side, you'll end up flicking too far off to the side, opening up your shoulders, always landing straight like this with one foot on the board. But when you flick up to the nose up here off this corner, you'll be able to kind of flick the board up to you, kind of flick up and catch the board at its peak. It'll just be a whole lot better when learning. It'll build a lot more better habits when learning how to actually land your kickflips. And so that's the first thing. And then the second thing with learning how to practice with the gate is learning how to catch the board. I would flip the board and then catch it with your back foot. If you can learn how to catch it with your back foot, and then just try to keep your front foot hovering over it and then just landing together at the same time. I feel like those are the two keys with practicing with the gate, and that's what's really going to help you. And so I'm going to try a few here. Maybe I will get it, maybe I won't. I also know with practicing with the gate, it doesn't really give you the full essence of a kickflip. Like, it feels a little different. And so when you start practicing it on flat without the gate, it's gonna feel different. So don't get too used to this. I would say have a balance of both, like practice it with the gate, practice it without the gate, and then just use the gate to help you figure out the small things, and then practice it without the gate to dial in on those small things. And so here's a couple with the gate, and then we'll practice some without the gate. All right, once you've got a few good kickflips with the gate, now it's to try and do them without the gate. And I think the big keys for this one right here is to get a nice flick off of the nose, off of right here, and then to get a nice catch, you know, but without the gate, because I feel like when you're holding onto the gate, it just kind of takes away the feeling of the kickflip. It doesn't really give you the full feeling of a kickflip. And so now things are going to be a little bit harder, things are going to be a little more weirder, but it's going to make you better. And then don't be afraid to go back to doing them with the gate if you start to like lose the feeling of it. So try to go back and forth between these steps right here. But the main keys that we're going to focus on right here is getting a nice flick of the board and a nice catch. Don't worry too much about landing landing the board with both feet. We just want to be able to catch the board, and then we'll work on landing the board with both feet. So just try to do some catches. Just try to flick and catch the board. That's all we want right now. That's all we want. Just catch the board with your back foot. All right, sick. Once you can consistently get a back foot catch, the last step is to keep your front foot over the front bolts. And I know a lot of times with learning how to do this is that when you pop and flick, you'll kind of open up your body, you'll open up your hips and your shoulders and want to walk straight again. But the key is to keep your body lined up with the board the entire time, from the point that you squat down all the way to when you pop, jump, and flick. You're in line the whole time. Your hips, your shoulders, and your knee is all in line with your front foot. So just try to keep that in mind when you're doing this trick. And then another thing too is if you're landing kind of like this with your back foot on the board, but kind of like in the middle of the board where the nose of your board is kind of falling behind you, that means that you gotta push the board up with you a little more. You gotta flick the board forward and just try to like pop and push the board forward with you, and that will keep the board right under you, you know. Especially when you're rolling, when you're doing a trick while moving, you'll want to push the board forward so that you can stay right on top of it. It's really easy for the board to fall behind you and land like this, and so if you push the board up forward with you, you'll stay right on top of it. And those are the two kind of big mistakes here. But along with this is just a ton of practice. I would say put in 100 reps. You don't have to land all 100 reps, but you just have to do 100 attempts, and that's what will get you one step closer to landing your kickflips. Also, don't be afraid to go back to doing a bunch of ollies or going back to the gate and just practicing some reps while holding on to the gate again and getting that feeling of doing them, and then taking it back to doing a bunch of reps and just repping it out and just doing again and again and again. And after a while, you'll be able to do them, but it really just comes down to just practice. And nobody wants to hear that, but that's what it takes, you know, just a bunch of practice. And so I'm gonna try to do a couple attempts, a couple of demonstration kickflips for you guys to see, and that's what it takes, you know. Just don't give up and you guys will get it. So here it goes. Once you start doing them enough, at some point it'll just become second nature for you. You won't even have to think about it anymore. You'll just be doing them and it'll be ingrained into your muscle memory. And so that's the point that you want to get to, just a point where you just do them without even thinking about them. And so just practice, put in hundreds, thousands of reps, and it'll get to that point, you know. You won't even have to worry about doing kickflips at that point. So it'll just become part of you, you know. You will be the kickflip basically. But I hope this video helped you. I hope that this tutorial helped you land your kickflips. And if it did, don't forget to drop me a like, subscribe if you'd like to learn some more tricks. I'll be trying to post some more videos, and I guess I'll see you guys on the next one. Until next time, peace.